Hello, I am Commissioner Emma I. Darnell. Welcome to Mighty Five Conversations. Conversations is a monthly information and communication program focusing on what we call the sustainable community. Economically strong, environmentally safe with liberty and justice for all. The topic for today's conversation: a closer look at the design process related to the Aviation Community and Cultural Center. Thank you for joining us. I'll be back in a moment. Joining me in the conversation today is Paul Monardo. Mr. Monardo serves as the Director of Design and Architecture for Pond and Company, which is the lead architectural firm participating in the design and construction of the Aviation Community and Cultural Center. Mr. Monardo earned a Bachelor of Architecture degree from the University of Notre Dame and a master's degree in Architecture, Building Design, and Urban Planning from Columbia University. Welcome, Mr. Monardo.
Thank you, Commissioner.
We're so happy to have you
Pleasure to be here.
Haven't seen you since those many meetings that
That's
we
right.
held in the community.
That's
but
right.
we are all thrilled at what we see rising on Fulton Industrial Boulevard, adjacent from three of the strongest, most historically significant communities in Fulton County. And they are Carroll Heights, Collier Heights, and Adamsville. And I bet you know the names of every member of that committee.
We met a lot of them during our community meetings.
I'm convinced, Mr. Monardo, that one of the factors that has led to the success of this project has been that your firm took seriously our request that we communicate with the community in terms of what their interests and their desires and expectations were.
Mm-hmm.
But we want to talk about that a little bit today and also sort of do a sneak preview of the building. It's my understanding now that we are moving toward the completion of the project. We know how many things can get in the way, weather and so on. But we want to begin now, particularly during this month, February, which nationally is recognized as Black History Month, but which we, of course, take pretty seriously each day because we believe it's so important that people know their history. But you heard a lot about history and culture, didn't you, when you were meeting with this advisory committee on this project, didn't you?
We did, from the committee as well as community.
Yes.
Neighbors and residents who came to the meetings and had opportunities to voice their concerns and requests and priorities. That was one of the most interesting and largest challenges I think we faced and any designer faces when they engage in the public design process.
So that really wasn't anything new for designers, and that is before you begin a project to take some time and see what the owners have in mind. That was really nothing new, was it?
We do it all the time. And again, I think the way architecture really is enacted as opposed to art, for instance, and again, we'll maybe get into the discussion of the design that we came up with together. But this idea of the artist kind of works in his studio alone, but really architecture needs to be done with the client, and in this case with the community, to establish priorities and goals and really engage in that collaborative process. It's really collaborative, not just the artist in the studio process.
Of course, we know some artists, but would sort of argue with you about that. They might say that the creative process might be alone, but whatever they put on that canvas, for an example, it comes out of their experiences and interactions with the community. There were a couple of themes that we heard And we had, what, about 3 or 4 meetings?
We did. I think it was
That's
three
6.
community meetings plus, the other community engaged meetings regarding the art.
Yes, yes. I heard 2 themes which I saw reflected in many of your reports. There were 2 basic aspirations that I heard in those meetings. The first, interestingly enough, was people were not interested in a museum.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of times this project is referred to as a museum. They were not interested in a museum. They were interested in, first of all, training
Right.
for careers
Right.
in aviation.
Yeah, this building
Wouldn't you
is
agree that was one of the dominant?
very interesting program that came out of the community
Yes.
meetings, because again, I think Fulton County had ideas about what functions should be going on in this building, but the community really helped bring that to light and clarify it in terms of education, exhibit space, and meeting space for the community. So it's a
Yes.
multi-use facility, and also the whole exhibit capabilities of it. Again, it's not just the museum kind of exhibits, but community involved and rotating exhibits, et cetera.
You mentioned community meeting. I think first and foremost they wanted a gathering place.
Yes.
All communities have gathering places. We have supported gathering places throughout the county because this is what neighborhoods want. But yes, the county basically was interested in an economic development project.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted a project that would give the community an opportunity to gain skills that are needed now in this new day,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when so much has changed. In fact, that's how we financed the project. We financed the project with economic development funds that we received from the federal government because we met their requirements with respect to, some people call it stimulus, but you'll never find me talking about the stimulus program because that's how we were able to place a center in the middle of the community that's going to train not only young people, but people who are transferring from one, career to another, train them in these skills. The project celebrates North American aviation, and that kind of leads us into this big emphasis they had on history. The other dominant theme that I heard and that I read in your reports of these meetings was folks in these areas are very proud of their record in service to this country in the military. That's not unique. I think the South generally, we're very proud of the fact that we have participated, our families have participated throughout the South, perhaps more than any other region, in service to the country. And in aviation, this community, of course, was unique because so many of the men who were members of the famed Tuskegee Airmen were from this area. We heard a lot about that, didn't we?
We did, and they were very interesting parts of to take place in the community meetings and the steering committees as well, in terms of making sure, or at least making sure the priority was recognized about the commitment and contributions of African Americans to the aviation history of this country, which, again, as designers, we take that information and we try and work it into the design, and hopefully we did that in ways that people feel proud about and good about and excited about.
Yes, that was the theme that really was with this project from the very beginning. And I think you heard us say, we actually started this project in 1999.
Yeah, it's been around.
In 1999.
It's been an idea for a long time.
And in fact, there were members of the Tuskegee Airmen who were still alive then, who were very active in the first community meetings, and there are still, members of that group who work with us. In fact, we are looking forward to celebrating the grand opening with a national meeting of the Black Pilots Association. So military service in in the Army and Air Force and Marines. This is a proud tradition in these adjoining communities. And of course, the Tuskegee Airmen, from the beginning, back in 1999, they've been a part of this project. Another key element has been our association with the businesses at Fulton County Airport.
Yes, they were helpful and very interested and
participated actively.
They did,
really.
yeah, they did, and I think helping the design team understand the priorities or ways that we together could hear what the community was saying in terms of education opportunities and training opportunities related to aviation and related to airport functions for youth, as you mentioned, but also career change, people of all ages. So it's...
Yes. I guess you've probably run into this situation too before many times as an architect, and that is that you have represented, not only a community group, but business groups and educational groups of different groups in the community coming together around one theme. That makes it much easier, I would imagine, than if you had one group pulling one way and one group pulling the other.
If they're all on the same page.
Yes.
Yeah, and again, I think
it makes it
in
much
this case,
easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think everyone came to the table
the
with
Fulton
a common
Industrial
goal.
Business Community,
Sure.
and Fulton County, of course, and so on. We're going to talk about that building. We've been talking about how we put it together and what it represents. We're going to talk about that a little bit.
Great.
We're going to take a break right now. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us. Well, Mr. Monardo, we've talked about the process, and I think that's important. I think it's important that people know that behind a beautiful building, all elements of the community have worked together. I think that's very, very important. But now let's talk about that building. Everybody says, wow, Commissioner, have you seen the building? I said, oh yes, I've seen it.
That's exciting.
Let's talk about how those basic principles, Mr. Monardo, have been used to make this such a successful project in terms of design.
Well, I think one of the things that we have the opportunity to do as architects and designers and engineers is to figure out a way to translate those comments and goals and aspirations we hear into a built environment. And things that maybe are intangible need to be given some kind of form that can be built by people. So it's a great challenge. And how do you take those goals and aspirations and thoughts and hopes and dreams and give the building a form that communicates to people without words? That's quite a challenge, but that's part of the fun.
But it's not as simple as it sounds, is it?
It's not.
Yes.
And hopefully this building will do that. I think people are sensing.
It's doing that. I can tell you now.
What it's going to feel like already. So that's good. That's exciting. And hopefully when it's complete, people will really feel it. That sense of history, but also that sense of the future.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
That was what I kept hearing over and over again, what you just said. Honoring the past,
right,
but not retreating into the past.
Right.
People are sensitive about their future, the future of their children, their grandchildren, and their great-grandchildren.
Right.
And I think that really summarized it quite well, Mr. Monardo. Now tell us a little something about some features of the building.
Yeah, the building itself, and I think we have a couple of images. But
yeah, so they're going to be putting them on, placing them on the screen.
Yeah, the exterior of the building again is durable materials, easy to maintain, brick masonry veneer and metal panel, so I think trying to give this form of the building, which essentially looks like an airplane when you look at it in plan, or when you see it from an airplane looking down. I think that will be apparent. But
from
also
above, it appears to be a plane.
From above.
Yes.
But also I think for pedestrians and users on the ground, that we hope that sense of that form will be readable to them as well. So the basic materials are we think, pretty well founded, and the county was pretty happy with those final selections. We did have some features that were reacting to the idea of the building as sign. For instance, that the county wanted the building to be able to communicate to passersby, to drivers along Fulton Industrial, and to communicate to people who were in the community and the general neighborhoods that there were exciting things going on here. So that was part of the reasoning for the form of the building, but also the special features. What
are some of those special features that it has?
Yeah, we have a tower form that again recalls an airport tower. And that really forms the intersection of the lobby and the main corridor of the building, and that has an accentuated red roof that hopefully will be readable, as well as above what is the library and the small research part of the building. Facing Fulton Industrial Boulevard, we have what is called, we called it the Red Bolt, which again kind of recalls themes and parts of airplanes from the World War II era. But again,
and specifically the Tuskegee Airmen,
the red-tailed Tuskegee Airmen.
Yes.
And again, we wanted to take that idea that people may have in their memory and use it in a new way that could recall that past, but also speak to the future and give it some kind of energy, so that young people could get both that sense of history but feel excitement for the future.
So it's a meaning behind that red bolt.
There is.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, the idea of part of the red bolt which ascends,
yes.
Which again is meant to recall the history,
yes.
And then the idea of when it is horizontal, the notion there was what was going on during the wartime, and then the final ascending part of the bolt, which rises above the parapet of the building, which again tries to speak to the future and
moving forward,
and also recalls that red tail.
Yes.
So again, we just thought, well, it's going to give people some, again, along Fulton Industrial, currently. Not a lot of pedestrian traffic, but again, the hope that this building could help trigger more economic development and more mixed-use development. But we knew the building had to be readable for drivers and give them some excitement that would catch their eye and give them pause.
I think it's those features that probably have excited the business community along Fulton Industrial, and that is because it does, as a matter of fact, send a different message about Fulton Industrial Boulevard, that the deterioration which affected that area over the last 20 years is over. Fulton County has invested heavily to revitalize the area. Businesses are investing heavily, and they are excited because what that building says is that the age of deterioration is over.
Yeah,
we're moving forward.
That's exciting.
We respect the past, but we're moving forward. And I think that's one of the reasons that the business organizations in that area, of course, you know, they were there for groundbreaking in large numbers because they've been a part of the process all along. They are also excited. When I say the community is excited, I'm referring to the business community as well. And so, what are some of the other features?
Well, one of the features we worked into the building also deals with landscape. And again, part of the project design deals with the landscape area and,
that's
and,
important,
and surrounding. And the community helped the decision to have the building face Fulton Industrial Boulevard, but the main entry is not facing Fulton Industrial, so it faces
it's an interior thing.
Yes, and it'd be more convenient to where the parking is.
Yes.
But we wanted to draw people from the parking area to the building, so this idea of creating an exterior runway, that we were going to have a walkway anyway.
Like that.
So we threw some pretty subtle and simple landscape selections, color and material choices, created what would be the feeling of a runway, So as most of the visitors park, and then they would find their way to this main walkway, but they would get that sense of walking on the runway as they approach the building. We thought that was a pretty exciting and simple design solution.
Which, of course, we like, because we would want any building in that space, although it is far removed from runways. Nevertheless, that is our business out there.
Right.
And we certainly would want any building to be integrated into the business of the county there,
Right.
which, of course, is a general aviation airport. We've been very, very pleased with how the airport officials have participated in this project. Mr. Ricks of his department and Mr. Barrett, who's the director of the airport, they have just gone above and beyond, I think.
Yeah, they participated.
mean,
he participated personally in all the
yes.
meetings, and
All the meetings,
and has
they
been
did.
Making comments and suggestions throughout, and again looking for ways to tie the functions of the building for education and training to functions at the airport.
Well, that's one of the county's major interests. Yeah. Our major interest is in economic development, and you don't create jobs and ignore training.
Mm-hmm.
Jobs don't fall out of the sky. Mm-hmm. People need training and they need retraining. Mm-hmm. And of course, the director, our staff out there at the airport, they not only serve as liaisons with the local business community, but also with the government agencies that are involved as well. Well, they're giving me a signal, Mr. Monardo, that our time is running out. I'm going to have the interim director of arts and culture, to come on and talk about the kinds of art opportunities that we'll be offering at this same facility. It's going to be a gathering place where there will be an exhibition of art and pictures and so on that reflect, as you said, history, past and present. Mm-hmm. And I think the space that you developed for that in the center of the building is just breathtaking. Skylight and all of that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So we are very excited about the design, and what we knew from the beginning was that the building that you put together would be a reflection of the community as well as the county's interests. Mm-hmm. Because the county represents, of course, all communities and all people. We thank you so very much for coming in today, Mr. Monardo, and we think this is a very fitting tribute for the kickoff to Black History Month in District 5. There will be many, many activities and events, but I think that it's very important that folks understand it's not 1 month. It's not 1 month that folks in these communities wanted their history reflected every day in their community center. Thank you again for coming in, and we look forward to continuing our work with you. I'll be back in a moment with closing thoughts. William Faulkner has written, "The past is not dead, it's not even past." We know that for thousands of years, art and architecture has not only reflected the victories of a people's past, what may be equally important, it has inspired a people to reach victories of their own in their own time. The Aviation Community and Cultural Center on Fulton Industrial Boulevard and other manifestations of a people's history located throughout Fulton County, from Alpharetta to Palmetto, seem to support these objectives. That's all the time we have for today's conversation. Until next time, stay strong. To learn more about today's conversation, contact me at 404-612-8222. That's 404 612-8222. You can also email me at emma.darnell@fultoncountyga.gov. Visit us online at emmadarnell.com or connect with us on Facebook or Twitter.